Niv Mizzet Parun versus commander that we have on the channel, very popular commander, Nissa, Vastwood Seer. Yeah, very much like playing her, and just have to hope that our opponent's going for something other than Eldrazi. It tends to be what people go for with green ramp. We have a little bit of ramp of our own. We'll have to hope that we draw into something else. And yeah, Sol Ring into not much else, so just have to hope that we don't just draw into a bunch of lands off the top. But I did like keeping hold of this to try and keep up Nissa. Okay, and Opt. I think I'll actually use Opt to see what our next draw is. We can try and take a land off the top with that, assuming that we get into a land. Perhaps should have held on to the Polluted Delta and played an island out instead, but would like to get the Volcanic Island out as soon as we can. So Nissa Vastwood Seer is a flip commander, and when it enters the battlefield you can search your library for a basic forest and put it into your hand, and then when the 7th or more land enters the battlefield she flips into Nissa Planeswalker, the Sage Animist, and our opponent has just got down a tap land and is going to swing in, I dare say, with the Elvish Mystic, but they are not, no. So we'll see if that 1 point of damage actually affects anything this game. We're going to go for the Volcanic Island and then cast Opt on our opponent's end step. And see what we have on top of our library. We have Supreme Will, so that will actually counter Nissa. Is this when you cast it? No, it's when it enters the battlefield, so we could keep them off lands with that, which is of course what you want to do with green ramp decks. Although they could just go for this next turn and put 2 basic lands onto the battlefield, so yeah, we'll see what our opponent goes for next turn, but we can always hold up Supreme Will. So we'll get out an island into a Sol Ring, and we will hold up Supreme Will. And once our opponent's taking their time, I don't know if Magic's lagging on their end, but once we get priority over to them we can go over our commander. And to be honest, not having the best time with this commander. It's just too difficult to cast, as everyone realised when it was first spoiled. It's 6 coloured pips for a 5/5 flyer that can't be countered. Whenever you draw a card you can deal the damage to any target, and whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, draw a card. So the abilities are phenomenal. It's just the fact that you can't easily get into Niv Mizzet Parun and protect him at the same time. We could go for a Merchant Scroll into... I think it's too early for Turnabout, to be honest. Why don't we just get into that and see what else we can get. We could just go for some counter magic here and hold up Supreme Will. High Tide and Turnabout, of course, sort of combo off together, but there's nothing for us to actually do with the mana at this point. As you can see, Turnabout, we can choose to untap all our lands, and when we've cast a High Tide, that makes everything, or most of our lands, if they're all islands, tap for double. Or 1 extra, I should say specifically. We'll go for the mana drain. And then just pass over to our opponent. They might try and rush out Nissa, but we do have Supreme Will in hand to counter that. And I don't think they can Thawing Glacier. Yeah, they look like they're just going for more lands here. And they might get to the point. Are they casting Nissa? They are, so that's good for us. That means we can get this Supreme Will out of our hand. And it means they have 1 less land to get down with Nissa. The Thawing Glaciers, of course, it's pretty slow, but it's a consistent means of getting lands out. And I don't know, if you mana drain a commander, I don't know if the commander tax counts towards the mana that you get from mana drain. I can't believe out of all my years of casting mana drain that I've never noticed whether that's the case or not. Yeah, not sure about that. We could go for our commander here. We could go into High Tide and then our commander, I think. That would be... No, I don't think we could actually. We'd have to tap this down for red and the Soul Ring and get a lot of mana from that, which would go to waste. And then tap this down for... We went High Tide and then red and blue into lots of red, and then yeah, we couldn't hold up mana drain. We'll just hold up mana drain for our opponent, I think. Doesn't do us any good particularly to rush out Niv Mizzet Parun, because it's not... We don't have to have it out to win the game. It does help, of course. We just have instants and sorceries in this deck. We don't have any creatures at all. So it can really help the game go off, but... Is this Acidic Slime? No, going for Nissa again, so we'll see if we get 5 mana from that. They did know that we had the mana drain in hand because we revealed it with the Merchant Scroll. Let's see how much mana we get off of this now. And yeah, we get 3, so the CMC is what it is without any command attacks. So we get 3 mana from that, and have just drawn into a mountain, unfortunately. So we can just go for the Seething Song, I think, and then into our commander, and hope that we draw into something else. Our opponent still has a full grip, whereas we have run out of ideas. They might still think that we have counter magic, but if they cast something like a Farseek or a Cultivate or something like that, we will draw off of those spells, and then we'll be able to ping Elvish Mystic as well. And Crossum Restorer is on tap a land, I think. Yeah, on tap a target land. They can untap 3 with Threshold, but I don't think they're anywhere close to Threshold. Yeah, 7 or more cards in the graveyard, and going for the Thawing Glaciers again. So now they have 7 lands, so when they get Nissa out eventually, they will be able to flip her. And then Thawing Glaciers comes back. And we can ping the Elvish Mystic. We'll always yield to that. And we just draw into an island. Yeah, not having the best of times here with this deck so far. Luckily we had some control in the early game to slow down our opponent. We would have seen a flip Nissa quite a while ago, I think. Or at least last turn we would have seen one. Luckily we've been able to slow down our opponent, so they're now on a 5-turn clock. Gaia's Cradle, not too worried about yet. Destroy an artifact, yeah, that might hurt us later on, but it's not doing too much for us at the moment. Oh, Bramble Sovereign is a superb card. That is something to worry about. Yeah, if we can get into some kind of wheel and blow that thing up, I'd be more than happy to do that. And I was just going to say, we'll probably draw into another land here. So we might as well just try and ping our opponent, and then we'll swing him for some extra damage. Not having the best of luck with our draws here, but there's not a whole lot we can do about it. We can draw into some more card draw effects at least, and it looks like whatever we draw into at this point we're going to be able to cast. So hopefully a Dig Through Time or a Jace's Ingenuity, anything like that. I'd even take a Brainstorm at this point, or any kind of cantrip. Just have to see. Looks like our opponent is going to, because they have a full grip and they can really start taking advantage of this Bramble Sovereign. And looks like they're going to get a copy of that, an 8/8 with Trample, 2 of those is, yeah, that's pretty good. Bramble Sovereign going to do some work here. And then the Cross and Restorer can untap the Gaia's Cradle for even more mana. That will tap down for 5. And yeah, Caged Sun is even more mana, and it will make all the creatures bigger as well. So we're going to see a big swing back here. We really need to get into something like Cyclonic Rift, because our ping effects off of Niv Mizzet aren't going to do too much to these big creatures. Vandal Blast gets rid of Caged Sun at least, but it doesn't do that much for us. We might just be dead next turn, actually. That'll be 8, 16. That'll be 20, 22, 24. Yeah, they've got exact. If they can get rid of Niv Mizzet, then they've got exact damage on us after the Caged Sun is removed. We get to draw a card at least from Vandal Blast. And deal 1 damage to something. Dig Through Time. We don't draw the cards, do we? No, we put them into our hand. I think I need to try and go after this Cross and Restorer, to be honest. Stop it untapping the Gaia's Cradle. And then we can just exile a load of stuff from our graveyard with Dig Through Time. We could go for the High Tide, actually. Let me just do that. And draw another card. Ping that. And that gets rid of the Gaia's Cradle combination. And there we draw into an extra turn card, which is better than nothing. So if we go for 2 mana with the Dig Through Time, and then get rid of Sol Ring, Polluted Delta, Opt, Supreme Will. Need to get rid of 2 more. I think we can do Seething Song and a Mountain. And we'll of course draw a card off of that as well. I think we have a land drop to play as well. I'm just waiting to see if we get into something like an island. Something like an island. An island is what I'm looking for. Just trying to minimise the damage by getting rid of these creatures. And Comet Storm is part of a combo piece. If we can generate enough mana with High Tide and Turnabout, that will do it for us. We'll take... Do we want Arcane Denial there? Or would I rather just... I think I'd rather have an island, to be honest. Oh, it's 2 cards, yes, of course. Yeah, Dig Through Time is 2 cards. I'm thinking of all the cantrips. Yeah, we'll get rid of those. Play an island. And then this is a target creature, isn't it? It's not all creatures. So we'll just... There's nothing to flash back. So we can go for... Actually, we'll keep the red open just in case we draw into something off of this Temporal Mastery. And we'll get rid of that Infector. Yeah, so this is a pretty clunky way of getting through the deck. You preferably want to be copying all these spells and dealing damage to your opponent in that way, but shows you the type of thing Niv Mizzet can do. It can really pile on the damage. We'll just swing in here, seeing as how we've got an extra turn coming anyway. And then hope that we draw into something useful to us. Go after our opponent with that damage. And alright, our opponent deciding to scoop there. I think we had that game won because we had Comet Storm in hand for some damage, and then we probably could have swung in twice with Niv Mizzet. Had they have swung in with their big 8/8s, we probably would have just taken that and then swung in with Niv Mizzet. Got an extra point of damage in with the Comet Storm, so I think we had that game won. But our opponent didn't know that, so I think that's an early scoop from them. They could have won within the next few turns for all they know. I don't think they knew that we had Comet Storm. I don't think we revealed that or anything. I think we just drew into it. So an early scoop from our opponent, but I appreciate that counter magic and control builds can be frustrating to play against. So good game to our opponent. An early scoop from them, I think, but as it happens, I think we had the game won anyway. So that is the Niv Mizzet Parun deck, and that's it for this Guilds of Ravnica week. I think I'm going to put this game out last and let you all know that there might be some bonus content coming out from another certain popular Guilds of Ravnica commander over the weekend. Hopefully you can all look forward to that, and I'll see you all on the next one. My name's Tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.